Well, I can't believe it's already been a week since our Journeyman save here on YouTube came to a close, where we took our coach Nick Bottom from the third tier of Belgium with Young Reds, Royal Antwerp's U23 side, all the way to the Ligue 1 title, the Coupe de France title for 2 years in a row. We won an FA Cup, we won a Carabao Cup, and finally Champions of Europe with Paris Saint-Germain. But it's time for us to take on a new challenge. And welcome everyone to the first episode of our brand new series here on YouTube, which is going to be very similar to what we've done and also quite different. We are going to take a coach with no experience and with no coaching badges, and we are going to get him a job, and the goal of the series is to win the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Think the Champions League, but for North America. However, there is a major caveat. We are going to do so without managing a team in MLS or in Liga MX. Those are the two powerhouse leagues. Now, what's going to make this even more difficult is those two leagues get the majority of the automatic berths in the competition. In fact, if I've done my math correctly, only 1/3 of the competitors each and every year comes from every single nation in North and Central America that is not the United States, and in some cases with MLS teams in Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal, in Canada, or in Mexico. So we're going to have to get through either via a Caribbean nation or somewhere in Central America like Honduras, Costa Rica, Belize may be a little bit tougher, Guatemala, Panama, anywhere we can possibly find a job as we get ready to set our brand new career. Now, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be loading up a whole ton of databases. We're loading everything up. Now, this is going to include a lot of, a lower tiered in the United States. This is going to include the lower tiers of Canada. There aren't all that many, but quite a few. Now, we do have to add all of these leagues in manually, so we're going to do so now, and then we're going to have to double check, of course, to make sure that we have each and every one loaded up. We're going to be setting this up very similarly to the way that we are doing our Twitch save, our Build a Nation in Croatia. You can check the link in the description. Hopefully the link will be in the description. Otherwise, you can find it just here on the channel, where we are only going to be setting up and making playable the leagues that we are going to be playing in, with the exception of the US, Canada, and Mexico. We are going to leave them in there as full-blown playable leagues. However, we are going to, when we're looking for jobs, we are going to exclude those very nations. However, we are incorporating the real players from around the world. So we're going to be using a database of about 120,000 players. We are also going to, well, we'll start here in Anguilla, which is a start in the second week of October. We're actually going to play forward through the date that Football Manager came out, which is November the 6th. The primary reason being is there are going to be, at the start of the game, a ton of jobs available. Too many, in fact. Probably a good 175 from the tests that I have done. Hopefully, if we move forward just a little bit, we'll weed out some of those positions, and some other jobs may become available if coaches happen to go from one of those teams to one of the others with an open position. So I'm going to finish setting this up, and I will be back with you in just one sec. All right, so here is our manager. He's going to be based pretty much on the same model Nick Bottom was. I made him look a little cooler. His name is Billy Flynn. Yes, I know. It's a theme. Billy Flynn is going to be 32 years old at the start of the game. In fact, it's going to be his 32nd birthday by the time we get to November the 6th. We have set certain things that we're going to delegate and certain things we aren't. It's actually going to be the exact same as we have had in the past. Now, we all know Football Manager doesn't necessarily work this way. I have it set where I've delegated all of my media tasks, but it is still going to have me set handling all my own media when we get in game, so we're going to have to fix that in a little bit. As mentioned previously, we're going to begin unemployed. Our managerial style is going to be, we're going to be kind of on the attacking side. Attacking and tactical. I think tactical over technical, I think, is where our experience, our strengths are going to lie, and we're going to make ourselves as adaptable as possible because, again, we have 0 coaching badges. We are a Sunday league footballer, and even though we are from Haiti, we're probably not going to get a job in Haiti. So we're going to say this. Billy Flynn, unemployed. Sure, we're going to leave it at that. So we are all set to go. Now we're going to filter out all of the non-managerial jobs. We're also not going to be worrying about anything on the international scale, either for the senior clubs or the youth. And as you can see, as I talked about early on, look at all of the jobs that are currently available. Now, we should probably filter out Liga MX, which I think is the first division. Well, we're just going to do all of Mexico, aren't we? We're going to filter out all of Mexico. We're going to filter out all of the United States and make sure that we filter out MLS. I don't think there are any Liga MX. I'm going to go back and forth, I think, during this series between saying Liga MX and Liga MX. Really just depends on like where my brain is at the time. But as I mentioned, at the start of the game, even here in the month of October, now there are certain leagues that don't start until January. In fact, it's kind of various and sundry. But there are... Can I select them all, please? It's not going to let me select them all. If I were to apply all, there would probably be a good 150 jobs. We are not interested in that, so we are going to send our gentleman on vacation until the 6th of November, which is not very far away, to be perfectly honest with you. Hopefully some of these jobs will be filled. So when we come back, hopefully we will have just a fewer jobs to have to sort through. Here we are now on the 6th of November, 2023, which is the day Football Manager 24 came out. We have whittled things down quite a bit, but as you can see, there's still a ton of jobs open right now, and I'm sure there are going to be more that are going to be coming available. Now, we have bookmarked our job center to make it a little easier to access while we go through the save. We don't really need it now because as you see, the job center's over there. Now, I have the ability to do this because of the skin that I am using. And again, there is a link in the description. It is the SAS24 skin. It's going to be the last of its kind because since they're moving to the new engine, the programming language around the skinning of this game is going to change. So SAS is retiring from the game, but he turns out a beautiful product. If you have not seen any of my videos here on YouTube or the Twitch save, I believe you are in for a treat. We're probably going to have to rejigger things a little bit because everything kind of gets reset when you do a new save, but there's some really cool features to it, things that I absolutely love, and it makes the game look the way I need it to look for my maximum enjoyment, and you might as well. Ton of content creators use various skins. There are fantastic ones all out there. Use the one of your choice if you want to stick with the one that comes with the game. That's okay too. As my friend Matt says, it's a single player game. If you're having fun, then you are doing it right. We have applied for 38 jobs. As you can see, some of them were just tossed out without any consideration, but hopefully we get a job interview or two. We're going to keep plugging away. When we do get job interview opportunities, we are going to take each and every interview to start. Then we're going to start whittling down the list. Obviously, we want to make sure that we get at least one job offer. If we do get a job offer, then we're not going to probably interview for similar jobs. Like, so for example, if I get an offer for a job in Dutch St. Martin, which I know is an amateur league, if I already have that job in hand, I'm probably not going to apply for any more amateur league jobs. I'm going to want to try to get something a little bit better. In one of my test saves, I did have some experience in Dutch St. Martin. It was a pretty easy league to win. Getting through the various cup competitions you need to get through in order to make the Champions Cup, well, that's a little bit more difficult. We submitted all these applications at midnight on the dot, 8:46. The following morning, we get the offer for our first job interview. It is going to be with Arsenal Club du Petit Bourges. My French is terrible, and I'm coming out of a Ligue 1 save, so yeah. It's in the Guadeloupe Ligue Régionale 2 de Pool B. I'm not sure what all of that means. It's a semi-professional club. 29-year-old Freddie Morand is the best player. We know absolutely nothing about him, which is kind of good. We leave that kind of fog of war on until we get there. 5 appearances so far for the club. He's got 1 goal. They were predicted to finish 4th, currently sitting first on the table in the league, which is very impressive. So through 6 matches, they are 6-0. I wonder what happened to their coach. He must have gotten one of those jobs. Now, looking at the competition reputation, they're in 63rd. It's not really that high. It's actually the 2nd tier of Guadeloupe football. So, I mean, this could be a good place to start. Will this be the team that ultimately gets us through to that Champions Cup? Probably not, but we're still going to go to the interview. I do want to take one quick look at the rules. And it looks like this pool, there's only these 12 teams, and the first place team is promoted. So we could potentially, if we can do things right, get an easy promotion in our first season if we were to get the job. But first, we do have to, of course, sit down for the interview. Now, I'm not going to run you through each and every interview. They're going to most likely all be roughly the same. I am going to tell you I'm going to answer each and every question identically in each interview. There's probably going to be some variation, but we'll get to that. Glad we can sit down to business with Dimitri Mita. You're up for a few jobs. Now, I used to say I'm merely considering my options, but I realized that's kind of wishy-washy. And as I was going through some tests, I gave this other answer, and it did not seem to affect my ability to get a job. I wasn't getting turned down all that much. I wasn't getting a ton of jobs, so I wasn't getting like flat out rejected. I'm doing whatever I can to keep progressing. We don't want a repeat of our last manager. We are going to, so I don't want to talk about short-term success because that could impact our job. We'll stay for a long time if we're here. How much of an overhaul would you make to the backroom staff? I'd rather wait till I'm able to appraise them in a working environment. We're putting off that decision, including this one when they ask about a director of football. I normally would say I'm happy to work with him, but again, that's committing us to something that we may not necessarily want. So we're going to say we don't want to commit to working with him until we've had the opportunity to study it further. As part of the recruitment process, they're going to allow us to make some changes. I always ask for a small budget, which usually brings us to this screen, which is the objectives, where they want to finish in the top 3 places in the Regional de Pool B and be competitive in the Coupe de France. Now, they have their own little Guadeloupe, and there may be other nations that are involved in this. I haven't looked very deeply, but there is like a mini Caribbean Coupe de France. So it's not the big tournament that you're going to find PSG and Rennes and Lens and Lille and all of those. Marseille, those teams are not involved in this one. It's not that 15, 16 round affair. And then they want us to maintain a top 3 finish. Seems perfectly acceptable. That's a fair target. I'm always happy to agree to whatever money they say. And I have in the past asked for a coaching badge at this point in the interview, which I kind of just blew through, and I apologize for that, where they ask if there is anything more. That being said, I found that most of the jobs that I was offered, even though I asked for that, I got turned down. They didn't give it to me anyway, so I figure, why bother? Let's have a little bit of success. Let's kind of grease those wheels, and then I found that you can get 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4 coaching badges in a row if you're good enough. First interview is done and dusted, so now we wait to see if any new jobs become available, obviously in the leagues and countries we are looking in. No Mexico, no United States, obviously no MLS in general. If we do get additional interviews, we'll take care of them off camera. In fact, we have 3 new offers from Warwerts. This is in Suriname. Do they have a... They don't have a Coupe de France. They have the Beker van Suriname. So this is in the Eerste Divisie. So this is the top flight of Suriname, so that could be definitely a possibility. Now, that league has not yet started. They're 23rd on the table, a far cry above where we would be if we were to take a job in Guadeloupe. So a possibility at SV Voorwaarts. There's Las Tunas out of Cuba, as well as Isla de la Juventud, also out of Cuba. Now, the funny thing is, this is the first time I've actually gotten offers for jobs in Cuba when I've run these tests. Now, I have done like different start dates. I started at the very beginning. I started on the beginning of June, which is when I was starting to do this in 2024. So we will see. We're going to attend these interviews and more. We'll be back when we get our first job offer, because I do smell a job offer coming in today's episode. La Arsenal and Voorwaarts out of Suriname have both approached us with what we would like to do if we were going to make changes to their back rooms. But the first team that is offering us a position is Isla de la Juventud in Cuba. They're offering 75 euros per week. Maybe I should change this to dollars, but that's going to mess with my whole Twitch save. One of the problems with Football Manager is when you change your preferences, it changes it for each and every save that you are playing. I wish there was a way that you could save preferences based on each save. Maybe that's something we should add to the wish list for FM25. They want us to continue to finish in mid-table in the National League opening stage, which means that this is one of those split season type leagues, which is kind of cool. We'll look at that in a minute. In fact, why don't we go there right now? So FC Isla de la Juventud has a balance of 52,000 euros, a wage budget of 85 a week, which they are spending. Their key player is a 16-year-old defenseman, Cuban defenseman named Felix Escobar. He's 5'10", which is something that I've discovered quite a bit in the Caribbean nations, is finding big boys that are not super slow to be on your back line is difficult. So we may have to break our no short kings rule, but we'll see what happens when we get there. Kind of like the colors of their kits. I'm hoping to find, like, real, for whatever team that we take over, I'm hoping to find real kits. We do have badges for most of the teams. I find it very funny that the Cuban National League symbol from a distance kind of looks like a baseball. Obviously, Cuba is very well known for its baseball acumen. Basic training in youth facilities, pretty good youth recruitment, above average, with a decent reputation nationally, fairly basic academy coaching, so all things that we would need to improve. I think Cuba could potentially be one of those countries that we might be able to at least make a run at the Champions Cup at, if we were to take the job. As we look at the Cuban National League, it is split into two groups in the opening stage. Looking at the rules, there is a group stage, which is where it is. First place team gets into the final, and the second and third place go straight to the closing stage. Yeah, I'm not going to even pretend to let you know how this works. I think the closing, so this is the closing stage here, which I guess the top three from each group get into the closing stage. Obviously, first and second are the leaders of each group. They make it straight into the final. Although the final is two teams. So, yeah, I'm not going to pretend to know exactly how this works. Either way, we're going to see what other options we have. We have interviewed for a couple of other jobs, including one in Honduras at CD Atletico Junior. So we're going to ask for a week to think about it. Hopefully they'll actually give us two and see if anything else comes in. But right now the leader in the clubhouse is Isla de la Juventud. Well, who knew getting a job might be easier than we thought? Arsenal have approached Billy Flynn, as have Voorwaarts. I mean, obviously they asked us for changes to their back rooms, so usually that is a pretty good indication that they are ready to, you know, actually do something and tender you a contract. We've also been offered a job with Las Tunas and a chance to terinterview with Real Juventud in Honduras, which we took, and we've already attended that interview. Now, Las Tunas and Isla de la Juventud, I guess we're just going to call them Juventud for now, although there's plenty of Juventuds around Central and South America. They are offering us less money. We can't actually see the offer from Isla de la Juventud because we pushed that off. Although a larger wage budget. Well, I did notice when I took a quick look at the players, even though we have no information on them, obviously most of their players are kind of stashed in the U20s right now, a ton of youth players, lots of amateur and youth contracts, which means we are not really paying anybody. The only full-time employee is Sandro Coutinho, a 28-year-old, well, what position does he play? Center back, 6'3", 152 pounds. I like him already. He actually has some value on him, which is very rare at these levels. He's making 110 euros a week. He's also capped 4 times for the Cuban national team, so we would have to really dive deep. The green is kind of okay. I'm not sure how I feel about green kits. I'm not going to go off on like a whole thing like Lelujo would. Voorwaarts, though, is very It's very interesting to me. Oh, that's right. I thought it was a little different. No, Arsenal is the one that is like pretty much guaranteed promotion. Yeah, they're already 7-0 at the top. So do we want to go for kind of the easy road to get to the top, or do we want to find the best position that could potentially move us up? As we look at Guadalupe at the competition rankings, can we sort by name? I think we can. Yeah, so if you get into League One in Guadalupe, they are 28th, whereas Cuba's already in 22nd. Suriname is already, I believe, 28th, if I'm not mistaken. If I can find them, where are they? Search by nation. There we go. Suriname. The Eredivisie, is 23rd. So lots of good possibilities. I think we're going to have to pass on Guadalupe. I think we're going to have to turn them down, and we are going to walk away from the opportunity. We are going to delay the other two. So for Vorts and Las Tunas, we're going to see if we can delay each of those a week, which they do agree to. So we now have 3 jobs on the table and a big decision to make, assuming we don't get any opportunities between now and then. Hilariously, we are not the leading candidate for any of the 3 jobs that we have been offered. All right, hold the phone. We've got a dark horse candidate. Not really a dark horse candidate. CD Atletico Jr. out of Honduras have approached us to take over their clubs. This is our 5th job offer. This one's offering us the most amount of money. That's not really important for this. Even though we're going to still do the storytelling of a normal journeyman, it's not going to be quite the same. 230 euros a week, a transfer budget of 30,000, 875 euros in the wage budget. So it's kind of like disproportionate. Right now, they are in the Liga de Ascenso de Honduras, which is the 2nd tier. They're currently 2nd place in their group. Now, this is another one of those countries that has multiple groups. In fact, there are 36 teams in this tier, and I've tried to check out the rules a little bit. Right now, Atletico Jr. is currently in 11th place on 19 points after the opening stage of 10 matches. So there's an opening stage, then like a kind of cup type tournament where certain teams qualify through. There's some get straight through to the round of 16. There are others that start off, I guess, a group of 32, and it gets whittled down, and then there's a winner. I don't know how that gets factored in. There is an overall table. They are currently sitting in 11th. I have not taken the job, trying to figure things out. So I dug a little deeper. And the Liga Nacional de Honduras has only 10 clubs in it. One of those teams gets relegated each year, which means only one team gets promoted out of the Liga de Ascenso de Honduras. So even though, as we go back, we will see that the league itself has a very high reputation, currently 16th, and the Honduran First Division is the 4th best overall as far as reputation is concerned in all of CONCACAF. It's going to be a very difficult league to break into. And I think that we maybe need a little bit more experience before we start banging our head against the restrictions of promotion in Honduras. If you have been watching the Build a Nation save, it actually is what led us to leave our starting club of Vukovar in 1991 because only one team gets promoted in Croatia. We did get promoted at the first time of asking, and you can watch all of that on the Twitch channel. It's of course down in the description below, as we've said. Also, make sure you like and subscribe if you have not done so already. I appreciate all of your support as we get into this brand new endeavor. I know I'm rambling. We still have not picked a side yet, and I don't want to make this video too super long. So what we are going to do, or what I was saying about Croatia, is we ended up getting promoted, but then relegated a few years later. We had a fluke season. It doesn't matter why. But then we spent 3 years just trying to get back into that #1 spot, and we kept coming oh so close and not quite making it. And that was only with a 12-team league. Can you imagine? 36 teams all vying for one position. We would be here forever. So that being said, we are actually not going to accept the job in Honduras. I can't believe I'm going to say that. We're either going to be starting as Suriname or Cuba. Which one will it be? And while it would have been super fun to be the manager of Las Tunas, we decided to take our talents to Suriname as SV24 have hired Billy Flynn. Of course, eyebrows have been raised, as they always are. The media has predicted us to finish 10th. One of the biggest reasons we went to Suriname, still very good reputation relative to the Cuban sides. More of a standard league table, promotion relegation without the weird group stages and extra stuff going on. I figure we can just focus on our football here. We have retained the services of Dinesh Airwheely as our assistant manager. We decided not to let him go. I believe we did part ways with the director of football. Finances are okay, €265 per week in the wage budget. We do have to look to improve our training and youth facilities, but our youth recruitment is above average. We play at Voorvartsveld, which has a capacity of 1,500. Our best spell of success came in the 1950s. We have not won the competition since 2001. I don't know. We're in the first tier. We're in the Eerste Divisie. That is all I know. We'll take a look at our players. They are recommending a 4-3-3. Once we take a good deep look at the team, we'll be able to figure out exactly what tactical approach we want to take. I don't even know how soon before the season begins. They look out for us to reach the latter stages of the Suriname Cup and avoid relegation from the Eerste Divisie. We did get a one-year contract, €90 a week, which is twice as much as what was being offered by Las Tunas. Our supporters would like us to strive to make progress on and off the pitch, whatever that means, and also become an established Eerste Divisie team. So the board wants us to not get relegated. The fans won't be happy unless we are a mid-table side or better. We're not going to arrange an inter-friendly squad or an inter-squad friendly. We're going to do meetings every month, and of course we are going to meet the media because we don't want to get things off on the wrong foot. Taking a quick peek under the hood, we have a lot of young players. Primarily, I'm guessing right now in our U19s. Not 100% sure. We do seem to have a dearth, I should say, of central midfielders. We have, well, we have one guy who can play at the position, and that is Alvido Boldewijn. Boldewijn, I guess it's not a V. So maybe we're Verwarts. I think Vorvi is the nickname of the team. Maybe we'll just go by Vorvi. Yeah, he kind of ain't great. We do apparently have other guys that could potentially play the position. He is accomplished as a central midfielder, so he is not even great there. So yeah, we're gonna have to figure out what we are going to do tactically with this team. Our top player is Shirano Maue. He is a striker. He is a leading Eerste Divisie player. It's got decent pace on him, so we're gonna have to kind of get ourselves out of the mindset we are used to being in as far as looking at players. Somebody with a 12 pace at this type of level is a pretty quick player. Not a lot of strength. He stands at 6 foot. 160 pounds. Is capped 3 times for Suriname. His finishing ain't the greatest, but he's a nice big body to put at the top of the table. Should say top of the pitch. Now, all right, so here's one, or Walla Pengel could potentially be a central midfielder. He's more an attacking mid, but he is also a natural midfielder. Why it's not listed as one of his positions on the list we are looking at, I do not know. Has some value to him. It could be worth as much as 45,000. Stands at 5'8". Again, same level of quickness. A little bit better with the finishing and the dribbling and the first touch. His passing is a touch suspect. Off the ball could be a little bit better. Also, not very consistent. Fairly injury prone. If we look at his injury history, though, he doesn't have one because, well, we're just getting started, so I guess we're going to have to figure that out. 30 years old, he's capped twice for Suriname. He's making €20 a week. After him, we've got Shagamir Boldewijn. Do we have a lot of Boldewijns on this team? Or did we already look at a Boldewijn? Well, we looked at a 16-year-old Boldewijn. This one is 28, also making €30 a week. Capped once for Suriname, once for the U20 side. Again, decent pace. pretty good marking for a central defenseman. He is going to be our primary central defenseman. Giovanni Asselman, also decent at the position, except he's 5'1". Yeah, that's probably not 10 euros a week well spent on the 27-year-old. That's not really the best position for him. Also, Ramon Brafhide. Brafhide? Get 12 pace. That seems to be the norm. Could be a leading Eredivisie player. He's primarily a winger. Could play a little bit of striker, but at 5'8", probably not the best option for him. His off the ball is not great. Neither is his passing or crossing, but he's probably among the best of what we have. Considering second on the depth chart is Calvin Gemesi, 19-year-old, has not capped internationally at all. Still has a bit of growing to do. 5'7", not nearly as quick, not nearly as good off the ball. His heading is surprisingly good for 5'7", and 8 jumping reach. But inconsistent, no strength, and he's probably ranked as a leading player in the league below. Yeah, also a 16-year-old, again, no international caps, for another right winger, Galito Overman, probably part of our youth setup, I would guess. Inconsistent, injury prone, but a professional personality, so maybe something that we can work with. How's our goalkeeper look? Our starting goalkeeper, or at least our best ranked goalkeeper. Let's take a look at all of our goalkeepers. And we have a ton of potential in 16-year-old Alberto Oostvood. 6'2", I guess. Positioning of 2. Something that we would need to work on. So I think Vanderkust right now would be our guy. Positioning of 5. But good leadership. He tends to punch the ball. What have we gotten ourselves into? The actual competition doesn't begin until January the 13th, so we actually have no schedule yet to speak of. It's a pretty short season, only 26 games, 6 months, it looks like. So it must be pretty jam-packed, at least 1 or 2 matches per week. We can use a maximum of 5 substitutions over 3 stoppages from 9 named, which is not bad, but we are definitely going to have to improve our side quite a bit. Do we have the money to do it? No, not really. We have a wage budget of 265 euros per week. We are currently spending 264 of that. Some money is in the scouting budget, so we are going to make sure that we are scouting our Eredivisie competition. We might even have a little bit of scouting money left over unless we go a little bit too crazy. We're going to set up a tactic. We're going to set up our set pieces. We're going to play a preseason. We'll take a deeper look at the team once we figured out who is going to be here, who is not, and who is coming in, and that's all coming up tomorrow. And as always, we hope that you join us then as we look to get our journey started on the way to the CONCACAF Champions Cup. Hopefully it goes through Suriname. Wouldn't that be a hoot? It'll also be a very short series if our first job is where we actually get the job done. Make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed your time here today. If you have not already subscribed to the channel, please do so now for Football Manager content every Monday through Friday. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.